So, lovely to see you all. Hopefully we'll have a chance for a bit of a dialogue. I'm just feeling slightly edgy at this moment, thinking not quite what I signed up for. I signed up for a bunch of people who weren't used to doing this kind of thing. So I'm now thinking, ooh, grandparents, egg-sucking, rearrange that sentence in any order you want, which is obviously a reflection upon your collective wisdom and experience. Nothing else, not age, obviously, particularly Tony. But one of the things I want to do today is to build on a couple of things that have been given to us so far. So there's a really kind of building on the high-tech, whizzy gadgetry thing that I'm going to build on. So I've brought all the resources in our department that are high-tech and whizzy. We've got those with me, so we'll play with those hopefully later. And I'm going to build on Chris's theme of induction, hopefully, as well a little bit, but not as well as he did. But anyway, what we're going to talk about very briefly is a little bit about why we should bother to get to know students. And it's maybe not quite as obvious as it seems, perhaps. I've got some very practical tools for us to be able to do that, and some handouts, if anybody's interested at the end, which for a small fee you can take with you. That small fee. So that's just a bunch of resources and so on, most of which have been plagiarised ruthlessly and for free from the net, but that sort of says a lot about the stuff that's out there that you can actually access really easily. And if we get a chance, timing dependent, hopefully have a go at one or two of the activities. Okay, so an obvious point perhaps, but why do we bother in terms of getting to know students and as groups of students and so on? The university, our university, all universities put loads of resources into student induction, transition activities, etc., etc. And that's, you know, this is the sort of smiling, happy faces that we see after we've been inducted and ticked that box, and here we have a student in glorious isolation learning fully. But of course, I would argue that it's not actually ever as simple as that. And in fact, we are all social beings to a greater or lesser extent. And actually, group membership is incredibly important for all students, all individuals, and the opposite of group membership, group isolation, is the factor that is the most commonly associated with clinical depression, far more so than drugs, alcohol, etc. So this is a long way of saying, if we don't spend time, again and again, not just one kind of activity of inducting students, making sure that they are actually properly engaged, properly getting to know each other in a positive way. If we don't spend time doing that, then it's at our peril. So all the stuff that we do as a university, in terms of open days and transition events, those one things are great, but actually what's more important, for me at least, is spending time with the students, really getting to know them, getting to know each other, then getting to know each other in a positive way, and doing fun things together that can actually go out of the classroom and feel that a safe learning environment, something that Chris alluded to, is actually created for them, and this is a place where they can actually learn. And if any of you come across Maslow, it's a bit hackneyed now, the idea of the hierarchy of needs. Unless you have some of those lower level needs met, you're not going to get to that wonderful place where we're getting high performing students. If they drop out, apart from everything else, it costs us a great deal of money. Spending too long in management to think at this stage. So what I'm suggesting is that one of the things we should be focused on all the time, not just at one-off activities, is doing stuff with students that allows them to get to really know each other and ourselves. So it's that centrality of relationships that's important. I haven't seen any of this in the past. We have a chance to share some other activities at some stage that people may have used and so on. But these are the sort of things that are quick, easy, resource-free, more or less. And again, the handout's got all the explanations and so on of how those all work and the links to those. You can do this type of activity, paired introductions, really quickly, really easily, in more or less every session or a couple of times in a module, etc. Getting students to work with each other that they haven't worked with, going to somebody next to somebody they don't know, talk to each other, listening exercises, so they're actually spending a minute or so. Only takes perhaps 5 minutes at the beginning of the session. One student talks to the other student then introduces key facts about that student that they want to disclose to the rest of the group. And it goes round in a big circle. That's the sort of thing that you can do really, really easily, really quickly. And you can, of course, tailor it to the topic. So it can be find out the other person's name, why they're interested in this topic, what they find hard about this topic, what they find easy about this topic, that type of thing. You can tailor that really, really well. Alliterative name games, I don't know if people have used those. Apparently they can work in groups of up to 70, I've seen them work in groups of up to 50, so it doesn't just have to be a small seminar. These things can all be done in fairly large groups. So the alliterative name games, big circle, one person starts off, it has to be something positive that they're saying about themselves. So today I can't be jaundiced, Jean, I can't be jingoistic, I can't be jealous, I've got to be something positive, so I could be jumping Jean. So I introduced myself as jumping Jean, a little action to go with it. Many of you will cover this type of thing on the PG Cert if you've done that activity. And it goes around the room with people repeating that alliterative name game. So by the end of the session, relatively quite quickly, you will know something about the other person to build on that's positive. I love this. We'll have to find something more PC than speed dating, but this can be used at the beginning to get groups to come together. You could just have a long line of chairs one way, a similar number of people this way. So we start off here, literally a minute each, doing that one person talking to the other, repeating, blowing a whistle, moving around, everybody moves around. So everybody gets to talk to each other really, really quickly. But just to break the ice, to get people to move about, just to try and help with that safe learning environment. Many of you will have seen this type of thing before. I've put an example here. So everybody has a piece of paper. Again, the resources are on the PowerPoints for you there. You can make this very specific to the topic, the area. So this has got statements saying, find somebody who has been to a live concert in the last 6 months. Well, that may or may not be relevant. It might just be a fun thing that you want to do. But you might want to tailor it to the areas of the topic that you're focused on. So you can very easily, very quickly change those questions. And the idea is that everybody has this piece of paper. They go around to find and talk to somebody they don't know to find out who has got 3 pets or whatever it happens to be. But you can make that quite relevant to that area as well. And then, of course, there's a little prize for the person who gets the names against each of these boxes. So if somebody else is living in another country, etc. Once you've got all of these boxes completed, it's bingo. That's hence a human bingo. So these type of activities can be tailored very much to help you move on to the next bit of whatever it is that you're teaching at that stage of time. Another quick one, again, getting the group, and again it can work, you can, with very big groups actually, you can split them into groups of say 10, and then within the 10, mixing people up randomly. People have to work out whose birthday, for example, everybody has, and then they've got to align themselves. So you're starting people with a January birthday here, all the way down to people with a December birthday over there. Similarly with height order, shoe size, all that kind of thing is possible. And again, quite a quick activity just to warm people up and get them going. In terms of safe learning environments, one of the things that I sometimes spend a bit of time with students doing is working out what their ground rules are going to be, trying to get a bit of participation there. I tend to just have a series of fairly common statements about ground rules and then get students in small groups to all of them and then to have a discussion about that. Whether it makes any difference, of course, to the classroom management, sometimes it needs to be repeated quite frequently. But it's a quick way to get some discussion going, getting people to know each other, and hopefully fostering this idea of a safe learning climate.
Jean, we're nearly out of time.
Paper tower exercise is a clip, and I brought up the string as well.
30 seconds.
Treasure trail, Chris has talked about, thank you. There are lots of different ideas of how to do the treasure trail. But the one that is one of my favourites is a string connection, hence this high-tech device I've got here. So again, groups of 10 and 12 in circles. You start off however you want to say. It could be about, the first sentence could be something as simple as where I went for my holiday. So I hold this, tell me where I went for my holiday, for example, and then somebody picks up and says, oh, I've been there as well. And so you go on until your circle is completed and everybody's connected. Everybody within the group is connected in lots of different interesting ways.
Did you enjoy that?
I really did, yeah.
Thank you very much.